Hi friends, this is Elena with another peek into the process. Today's project is this beautiful black, gold, and white wedding cake. So let's get started. So the bottom tier of the cake is actually a 12-inch round styrofoam base. I opted to use a faux base simply because I only needed 30 to 40 servings of actual cake, but wanted the appearance of a 3-tier cake. I covered the base with a thin layer of shortening to allow the fondant to stick to the styrofoam. Since the final color of the bottom tier will be gold, I decided it would be best to use a gold colored fondant to produce a richer gold color in the end. So I rolled the fondant out, being sure to remove any air bubbles. I smoothed it down with a fondant smoother and then remove the excess. Next, I created the floral pattern by using a silicone mold that I dusted with a little bit of cornstarch to prevent the fondant from sticking. If I recall, I believe I purchased this mold from Marvelous Molds. I basically just pressed the fondant into the mold, removed any excess, and then carefully removed it from the silicone mold. After creating all the panels, I went ahead and added them to the styrofoam base by using a little bit of piping gel. I just continued the same process until the tier was completely covered with the floral panels. Now it's time to go ahead and paint the tier gold. So I have mixed together a little bit of edible gold luster dust with some lemon extract to create a gold paint. As I paint, I am sure to get in all the little nooks and crannies of the pattern. That's another reason that it's a good idea to use the gold colored fondant, just because if by chance you do miss a small spot, it won't be as noticeable. As I paint the top of the tier, I try to make sure that my brush strokes are all going in the same direction to help prevent streaks and to help prevent lifting the paint that I've already added to the cake. Next, I work on the other two tiers of the cake, which are an 8-inch and 6-inch round. I layer and fill both tiers with my standard vanilla buttercream, do a heavy crumb coat, and then stick them in the fridge for about 20 minutes before covering them with fondant. So next I work on what I call crispy edges, which is just basically sharp edges on a fondant cake. I actually learned this technique from Liz Merrick from the Sugar Geek Show, who is one of my favorite cake artists. But anywho, I went ahead and inverted the cake on a round cake board and then just gently took my fondant smoother and rubbed the fondant until all the edges became flush with the cake board. You shouldn't be able to see any space between the board and the top of the cake. Next, I flip the cake back over and remove the cake board, and voila, you have crispy edges. From there, I go ahead and stick the cake back in the fridge for about 15 or 20 minutes and repeat the same process on the other tiers for the cake. Now it's time to stack this cake. I put a little bit of royal icing on the faux tier and add the 8-inch tier. I make sure that it's level, and then I add some dowel rods for support for the top tier. Once I add the top tier, I go ahead and put a single dowel down the center for maximum stability. And then to cover up the little hole that the dowel makes, I just added a little bit of buttercream icing so that it wouldn't be visible to the eye. Next, I add a black ribbon at the base of the 2 black tiers. I decided to go with a black ribbon just because I like the overall look of the black on black, and I feel like the white flowers would pop off of the black background of the cake. For the flowers, I used a variety of silk flowers that I purchased from the local Hobby Lobby store, all of which that I washed and cleaned prior to adding them to the cake. As far as the design is concerned, I generally will start at the very top and work my way down until I have achieved the overall look that I'm going for. Lastly, I add the gold accent pieces to help complement the gold in the bottom tier. I also decided to paint the inside of a few of the flowers with the gold luster dust, just to add a little extra pop of gold. Here she is, all finished. I really like this black, gold, and white design simply because it's fairly simple but still sleek and elegant at the same time. I hope you enjoyed a peek into the process. If so, feel free to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.